Ghostly greetings and hollering at your boy Prue. We're going to do A Boy's Life, right? Robert McMacamin. Yep, that's right. That's how you pronounce that. McMacamin. Robert McMacamin. McMenon. Robert McDonald. There you go. This guy. This book. Huh? Yeah, right there. Dun, 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 dun. From this fucker. Bum, 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 bum. Yes. Okay, so we're going to get straight into this review. Before we go anywhere, this is not a horror novel. I thought it was going in. That is not going to affect this review. It's going to affect this review. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's get into this. Basically, your main character, Corey. This is about a year or two in Corey's life. From, you know, writing stories, to school, to dog, to friends, to girlfriends, stuff like that. The main plot consists around one day, Corey and his dad find a body. And their small towns working with said body and how the family copes, moves on, and then such and such develops. So the plot is basically coming of age. And I couldn't help be drawn to compare this to It. Yeah, It. Stephen King's It with the clown. Because I don't know what it was. But to me, just to me, that's the best coming of age story I've probably ever read is It, which is a weird thing to say about It. But this is really good. This coming of age wise, this is better than Stephen King's It. I know it's hard to say, and I got an It tattoo, and I love King, but damn, this was so good. But based on plot, it's just a coming of age story about a kid named Corey in a small town in Alabama that recently had a murder. So for plot, I'm going to give it a C. It's nothing crazy. It's just a coming of age tale in Americana, Alabama. Beautiful place, it sounds like, though. Okay. Characters. Oh, characters. Corey was amazing. Very well written. All of Corey's friends, including my favorite character in the book, who was only around briefly, was named Nemo. And I really like the way they handled Corey's dad. Corey's mom was so-so, but all the characters. I'm going to give the characters an A+. The character-wise in a coming-of-age tale, that's what sells it. And this is what this did. You definitely felt like no one was just a cardboard cutout. This definitely had a life into it. Like you're reading it, you're definitely watching the town grow old with Corey. And how with age comes responsibility. So instead of like, oh, Dad, let's watch a movie about Mars, to him understanding the repercussions of like segregation and desegregation and the modernization of like the grocery store over the delivery of milk. So for characters, I got to give an A+, because they even talked about legit grocery stores modernization of getting groceries affecting this town, and the local grocery store putting small businesses out of work, and how it was good because, oh, it's 8 o'clock, we can go to the store and get candy. But bad because, oh no, Jim's candy store is going out of business. But Jim can only be there till 6, so... See, there you go. So that was cool. So that. Pros and cons. Okay, I'm going to start with cons, because there was not many. As you can see, I'm gushing. I'm fangirling, fanboying over this book. It was fucking amazing. This will definitely not be my last Robert McMamamon. McMasters. This guy. This won't be my last one by him. Cons. The con was... there was no escape from the coming of age. Like with It, during It, when you're reading It, you know, there's a killer clown. So whenever I really didn't want to care about town in the 50s or 60s. There's a clown killing people with giant spiders and dream demons and shit like that, and zombies and flying tar demons you're chucking bits of roof at. Yeah. In this, there wasn't that. In this, the only subplot was basically a murder, and then each chapter was itself a smaller sub-story. But that's all we are. Every day is just the next page or chapter in our life. Like, I always tell people that. Like, life's just a big story. And, like, my marriage, big chapter in my book. My brief career as working on phone representation, a very short chapter, because that did not pan out. I was not good at that. So, stuff like that. And that was a con, though. There was no break from the realism, no escapism. Whenever you're reading this, you're like, oh, it's more talk about the baseball game or more talk about Martians. That's what you're getting. So I did have to take a few more breaks in reading this than I would have liked. But prose, let's talk about the prose. The writing is fucking masterful. I Googled it, and some people say this is his best book. God, I shouldn't have started with this one because I'm going to read Stinger next, I think, and that's going to fall real short. Even if it's a masterful book. Like, whenever you're reading Stephen King, everyone's like, oh, starts 11/22/63 on the stand. I'm like, no, don't start at the top tier. Start like a B tier. Yeah, do that. Don't start, and I feel like I started with an A tier here. But the characters, really well written. Everyone had a life. It's really like I'm playing like a sim like reading a Sims game and watching everyone grow and develop. And there's parts where like people get new jobs and you're like, oh, good, thank God, because Mike hated that job. Or they get a new sheriff and you're like, oh, God, that sheriff really wanted to go become a professional dancer, stuff like that. Excuse me. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I'm a little bit indigested. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. As always happens, I start filming and then I get the burps. But for prose, there's just so many. The writing style is great. Character's great. And you did just get lost in the 60s. Also, he does take small, irrelevant objects, such as I mentioned, the opening of a grocery store. And that hit that town huge, because a lot of the small businesses were shut down. And that's something we're dealing with now is like Amazon, controls all the monies. So that's something I can relate to, because a lot of our shipping at my job is now through Amazon. And all of our local shipping companies are not doing very well because of it. But hey, that's life. It happens. Journey. Let's talk about Journey. It was fantastic. From page 1 to page 610. That's how many pages are in this book. I was hooked. There's very few parts. About every 100 pages, I had to stop for the day and just go do something else. Because, like I said, there's not a lot. This is just a coming of age. There's no clown or funny or stuff like that. Like, there's no extremism here. It's just a coming of age story. So at some points, I'm like, I need a break from Corey's life to live my own. But I was very excited to get back into Corey's head with this. So, guys, final rating. I'm going to give A Boy's Life by Robert Macmillan A+, a must-read for anyone who likes a good coming-of-age story. Now, if you're in here for horror, not horror. If you're here for sci-fi, there's not sci-fi. In fact, there is a little horror, but not very much. This is literally a coming-of-age tale written by a guy who did very good writing. I regret starting with this one because the next McCam and I read will be compared to this, and this was awesome. But I don't know if that's great or bad, because this was fucking amazing. But it's been your boy Prue, and we did A Boy's Life. Thank you. Stay creepy, and, whew, that's a big one. Look at that. That's a monster. Deuces.